Podcast, brought to you by Wright Honda out of Scottsdale, Arizona. This is your host, Jay Fenning. Coming up on today's show, finally ran down the man, Noel G. Many of you car people know him as Hector, but he's been in so many more movies. If you're joining the show for the first time, this show has two formats. This is what I call an end-to-end interview. So basically, this interview from Noel takes up the beginning of the podcast. I encourage you to listen to some of the other episodes to get kind of the flow of this podcast. Whatever platform you're listening to this podcast on, go ahead and hit subscribe. If you have an opportunity to give it a rating, give it a rating when you're finished. Give me an opportunity. I think you'll be impressed. And if you can leave a review, it does wonders for the rankings. So this was my first time to go out. I'm used to being in the studio where I'm at right now. I had to take all my equipment to where Noel was staying here in Arizona. We had an awesome interview. The acoustics were all over the place. So if you're used to this podcast, you know what it normally sounds like. If you're not used to this podcast, understand that this was an interview that we did in a large open room, but it's quality content. Noel gave some awesome answers. If you're used to listening to his interviews, some of the stuff you've heard before, there's a lot of things we talk about that you've never heard before as well. I know I said there was only one episode left this year. This was a special opportunity that we got scheduled in. I've been talking about this for a few months now. Otherwise, I'm going to give you guys one more episode before the end of the year. This interview is sponsored to you by Kuya Automotive, currently specializing in new and used NSX parts. NSX owners, hurry up and head over to kuyaauto.com. That's one word, KUYAAUTO.com, and inquire about special group pricing, or on Instagram at Kuya_automotive. That's Kuya Automotive, where Big Brother's looking out for you. Coming up next, Noel G. All right, I want to jump in. First, I want to say that I've seen A Psychopath.
Oh, okay. That's what's up.
So hopefully you're hearing good news about that.
It's a movie that we did. Okay, well, go ahead. Go ahead. I don't want to
go ahead.
Oh, okay. No, it's a movie that we did. And long story short, I did it with my production company because it's kind of crazy, and I never knew this. The number one money maker in Hollywood, period, is horror films. So I always tell people there's, two ways something's going to happen for you. You either get the opportunity or you create your own opportunity. And so we did that film to generate money so we can really make the film that we want to make. That's not to say that it was a bad film. It's just, well, if they like horror movies like Halloween or Friday the 13th, then they should have liked that film. If they don't like movies like Halloween and Friday the 13th, then they're not going to like the movie. But we made that movie just because, one mistake that I've seen the most with people in Hollywood is they try to make their baby film without the right amount of money. You can't make Star Wars with $100,000. You can make a movie like Friday, maybe for that, because it's just two guys smoking weed in the hood. But if you're going to make Star Wars, you need $5-10 million because you're building spaceships in space and whatever. So anyways, man, that's kind of the heart behind that movie, there's two ways you always make it in the business. A millionaire believes in you and says, here's your $1 million check, go make your movie. Or you make your own millions and then you go make it yourself. And so I wasn't going to make my baby project without the right amount of money. So that's kind of the story behind Psychopath. But again, it doesn't mean that we didn't put quality into it for the simple fact that it was a horror movie. But again, if you're a fan of Friday the 13th or Halloween, then you should love that film. So, we just went for it. But we're getting some good feedback. People are loving Rampage. Rampage is my boy. That's the UFC fighter right there. And he brought it. You know what I'm saying? That's a mean guy. That's one guy you don't want to mess with. And our little special remedy, other than Candyman, is that was the first movie ever with the black serial killer. So that's
damn, that's right.
That was our special remedy. That was our secret sauce, in that film or whatever. But it was crazy because there was one Candyman, like I said, but ours was the second. So that was cool, man. And that's available right now. People can check it out on Hulu, Tubi TV, Amazon Prime, pretty much everything but Netflix.
Yeah, I saw it on Amazon Prime.
So you can check it out.
What time is that? Maybe it felt like a 60s or 70s.
Yeah, it was in between.
Throwback. Yeah,
it was late 60s, early 70s. I would say early 70s. And I like the film because I got to play a different role. You know, I play a cop. I got a full head of hair. No mustache, no goatee. I played a whole different role, you know, because I like actors who can play different roles, you know, not just stuck into one role or whatever. But yeah, Psychopath, man. Check that movie out. Good horror film if you like to be scared this Christmas. And by watching that film, you helped me get a little closer to my dream.
Well, let's jump there real quick. What is your dream?
Well, my dream is basically helping people. You know, I want to help people, and you know, if I got to get 100 with it, I want to help people serve the Lord. You know, right now I haven't been the greatest example of that. You know, my marriage messed me up, so it's been rough. But the ultimate goal is to come back 100% full in integrity with God and serve the Lord and lead people to God and let them know that Jesus is, you know, really the true way. But that's just my opinion. I never push my belief on someone else.
Right.
They decide to hear or not hear.
Right.
I respect, you know, everybody, to each their own. But if they were to come to me and ask my opinion, how are you doing it? How could I do it? That's the answer that I would give.
So you've been in a lot of different things. And then like my people, which I consider the car people, know you as one. And then there's other people out there that may know you from something else. Like, what do you think you're most recognized for?
Well, you know, I'm cursed with the name Hector, man.
Right.
I say it as a joke, but it's not a joke. I'm starting to think it's my real name. Everywhere I go, I'll be in a mall, I'll be like, Hector. I'm like, what's up, man? Starting to think I got to change my name on my ID, right? That's all coincidental. It's not like I'm calling my manager, and if I'm not Hector in this next movie, then I'm not doing the movie.
Right.
It just happens to be that every project I go out with, 80% of them in the script is named Hector. And so, you know, if it's not broke, don't fix it. So I just kind of like it now and kind of kept it as a trademark because it's working and, you know, whatever. So anyways, I don't even look like a Noel. I look like a Hector in real life, you know, so I keep it. But what I get recognized the most for is, you know, Training Day, of course, Fast and the Furious, Bruce Almighty, The Purge, Anarchy, getting a lot of recognition off of that. You know, The Walking Dead, my TV show, The Fresh Off the Boat, and just little things here and there. Sometimes people will bring up movies that they just pull up out the woodworks and they're like, yo, G, like, I remember you from Party Animals or, you know, Harsh Times or so. I'm like, what? Like, I didn't even trip out on that. I'm like, damn, like, all right, like, you know, some of those movies didn't get its fair roll of dice, you know what I'm saying? But people catch them. This movie I just did called Sailboat, Boy Called Sailboat, where I played a father. Is a whole different role for me. You know, getting a little recognition off of that by the kids, because that was a kid movie. And, you know, so I get recognized here and there, but I'm on a medium level, you know, I'm not like Kevin Hart of The Rock where I can't live a normal life. You know, I'm on a medium level where I'm able to live a normal life, and sometimes I get recognized, sometimes I don't. You know, if I get recognized, I do. If I don't, I'm a normal person like everybody else. I've always come in just normal, and, you know, I deal with it when it comes. So
you're more the guy where, man, I've seen you in something.
Yeah, I get a lot of people that, you know, you see one cholo, you've seen them all.
Right.
So I get a lot of people that are like, you know, hey, did I go to high school with you? Like, dude, my cousin looks like you. Or, you know, people will be like, hey, were you in Walmart like 2 weeks ago? You know, I get stuff like that sometimes. It's funny because they can't figure it out because I dress like this. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care. Like, I just dress normal, whatever. So it's just funny, you know. Sometimes you deal with, you know, I've had some funny fan moments, you know, in other words, but it's a blessing, you know. But like I said, I never say anything. If I get recognized, I do. If I don't, I don't. I'm a normal person like anyone else. Speaking
of Walmart, do you ever get recognized for those videos you did back in the day? Were they Walmart when you were doing the instructional videos or the training videos? No, I don't, man. Those were like 30 years ago, you know, and I don't get... I never really got recognized for any of those, to keep it real with you. I never have, you know. That'd be some bizarre shit though. Yeah, that would be kind of off the cuff, man. Because I did a lot of videos, like they're called industrial videos. And I did videos for, like, you know, hospitals where I was the patient that the doctors were operating on. And that was an instructional video to show doctors how to work on a patient, you know. So I've done things like that. I've done, you know, but I started developing this, you know, bad guy reputation. So like when I got hired for, like, you know, the Walmart training videos for security,
It was like, this is what you do if you see someone stealing in the store. And I was the one stealing like the CDs.
Fucking loss prevention.
You know? Yeah, loss prevention and stuff like that. So, there, you know, it's kind of funny. I've done it all, you know, like when I was first starting out as an actor, I did it all from industrial videos to infomercials to things like that before I started getting, you know, television stuff and movie stuff and so on.
You've also been really open on all these interviews that I've watched about admitting that some movies suck, but the paycheck doesn't, which leads me to the following. So you would tell a story. So your first gig was a Taco Bell commercial, which unsuspecting. People can look that up or we can jump into it a little bit. You get your first check. Do movies work the same way or do you get paid all up front for the movie or a little bit of both?
No, it's movies work the same way. You know, it just depends on what you do, but you know, you learn. So when you do an independent movie, for example, it's kind of funny because I always make a joke that's a joke, but not a joke. I say, if all the promises that were made to me were kept, I'd be a billionaire, not a millionaire.
Yeah.
I'd be a billionaire. So you learn how to protect yourself, you know? And on independent movies, you hardly ever see the back end money. If you happen to be one of those people who pays me the back end money, then hallelujah and amen. And you're the first person to do it out of, you know, 500 people who didn't do it. You know what I'm saying? So you learn how to protect yourself in business. And I never say I know everything because I don't know everything, but I've been very fortunate to know enough to learn how to protect myself in business so you don't get screwed, you know? And so when I do an independent movie, you take more of the money up front because you know that 99% of the time you're not going to see any of the movie on the back end because, you know, people just haven't paid out or pay you on the back end. And, you know, with studio films, you don't have to worry about that, though. Everything's legit. Studio films, you get paid for doing the film. Right. Plus you get paid when people watch it, rent it, and you get residual checks. Like, for example, Training Day and Fast and the Furious. These are all movies I did, you know, 20 years ago. And I'm still getting checks to this day. Now it's lunch money. But, you know, back then, because everybody's seen it, rented it, watched it, you know, whatever. So it kind of works now where, you know, all the money, the home run is in the starting. And then the money fades because as the movie gets older and watched so much, the checks get smaller. So that's kind of how it works with the payment in Hollywood.
So you get your first Fast and Furious check.
Hollywood's scary too, you know, because Hollywood's scary because sometimes you work, then you don't work, then you work, then you don't work. You know, we got a real nerve-wracking job. You know what I'm saying? Because our job, we don't get fired from and we don't quit. It starts and it ends. So we got a nerve-wracking job sometimes, you know. Sometimes we're like, damn, man, when are we going to get our next job or whatever? So
you got to manage your money.
Yeah, it can get scary sometimes. So sometimes you got to get your money right then and there, make your money up front, and you know, just make sure it goes right, you know. And then that's why so many actors have clothing lines and restaurants and, you know, invest in real estate and they're doing other things because that's where they make most of their money, more than they do with the movies.
You get your first huge check, like let's say Fast and Furious, right? Take me back to that time when you get this check.
No, Fast and the Furious saved me in a way, you know, because
how so?
It saved me in a little bit of a way because before Fast and the Furious, I was living the street life. I was, you know, stealing cars and robbing houses, and I was doing knucklehead stuff. And then when I did Fast and the Furious, I made so much money, I didn't have to steal anymore ever again in my life. Now it's crazy because back in the early days, like I used to be stupid. Like I used to steal like a pack of gum or a Snicker bar or whatever, just because I really at the time, you know, couldn't really afford that stuff. And I could afford it. I take that back. I don't want to go too extreme. I could afford it. I just used to take it because I just did that stuff, right? So I'd buy like a bag of chips and a drink, but I'd put a Snicker bar in my pocket. But now I've been very blessed. And now it's at a point where I can't even steal a pack of gum because I have the money to pay for it. I feel so guilty. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of weird. So it kind of saved me in a way. You know, it's like when I saw my first Fast and the Furious check, I was like, oh, I don't got to do crime no more to make money. Like I got paid legit. You know what I'm saying? So it actually helped me in a big way. And this is kind of where I knew my life was changing or going to change. I never forget this story. I remember one time I went to the bank, and same bank I've been going to forever. Before Fast and Furious, I worked all types of 9-to-5 jobs. I worked at Denny's, Olive Garden, Burger King, delivered pizzas, worked at Toys R Us, KB Toy Store, Walmart, Kmart. Like I worked at all these places, right? And going to the same bank for years, depositing my little checks, whatever. All of a sudden I get the Fast and Furious check. I go to the bank. I never forget this story. Go up to the window, same bank I've been going to for years. And the lady goes, do you have a financial advisor? And I said, nah. And she goes, you should really see about getting a financial advisor. I'd like to take you to the back and, have some people talk to you. I said, all right, cool. Manager of the bank comes over. The other guy comes over. They all introduce themselves. They do their spiel. They tell me how I should invest my money and what I should do with it. And I let them, try to sell me like I'm listening. I'm hearing them out. And then when they were all done, I go, you guys are all funny. I go, I've been coming to this bank for 6-7 years, been depositing my checks, and all of a sudden I'm depositing a fat check, and now all you guys want to come out the woodworks and introduce yourself? I go, you guys are funny. I go, F all you all, man. I go, put my money in the bank, bro. And then I left that bank, and it was just so funny, So that's why like the house market fell back in the days, because they were doing quantity over quality.
Right.
So all these personal experiences have taught me so much where, before I mess with anyone in business, I do a heart check and a personality check first, because I like to know who I'm helping and why, what the purpose is, what their gift is inside of them. And long story short, so Fast and the Furious, the reason why I say it saved me is because, when you get experiences like this in your life, it teaches you so much to realize and how to operate with people going forward in the future. You're not a G until you're a G. You're only a G when you've been through some stuff, made some mistakes, or, counter those mistakes and overcome them in order to know what's up, to be the G that you are.
Facts.
So moving forward, you can not make the same mistakes again and be like, yo, man, I did that last time, G, but it ain't going to work on me this time. You know what I'm saying? And so that's what helped me in knowing how to deal with people and the heart of people and the purpose of people, because helping people is the most awesome thing in the world. But you can't at the same time allow yourself to be taken advantage of. You know what I mean? And who you help. So I could give many examples of that. But anyways, man, that's what the money took me in a different sin though. It helped me because, Mike Tyson made a comment. And one of his most famous comments was, rich too soon, smart too late. And that's exactly what happened to me. I didn't know how to invest. I didn't know how to save money. I didn't know what to do with money. I had no clue. I just got a bunch of money and I was loving life, and I can't say I didn't have some great moments.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like at the club with, the girls on the table and the bottles and the limos and whatever. But it taught me and shaped me and molded me into how I operate today. And so that's why I say Fast and the Furious really helped me and saved me. It saved me in so many different ways for the simple fact that it showed me what not to do now.
So how old were you during that time?
20 something. I was 22, 23.
So the current you, if that situation were to happen again, do you think it'd be the same? If I could go back in time and talk to myself? Yeah. In a sense, yeah.
I would tell me, slow down, save the money.
Through age comes perspective. Yeah.
Invest, be wise, use wisdom and be careful. Know who your real friends are. Because, when I had that money at the time, I had an entourage.
Oh, sure.
I had all kinds of homies. And where are they at now? And now there's only to keep it 100 from back then, there's maybe only under 5, that are still around today that were the real ones. I've been fortunate to have some real friends in my life. And I always tell people too, I'd rather have one real friend than 100 fake ones. And that's something very important to me. So there are some people who are still around to this day, and you remember little things, one little thing I remember and I never forget was, so it was funny because back in the days, everyone always used to complain about driving. Everyone wanted to get drunk and and not drive. So because I had money at the time, I go, okay, I'm gonna fix that problem. I'm gonna get us a limo. Everyone show up to the house, park your car. We're all gonna jump in the limo. Now everybody can drink and no one has to worry about driving because we got a driver and let's just have fun. And that limo bill became pretty expensive. I was getting a limo almost like 3-4 times a week. You know, my friends know what's up. They were there in those limo days and I was paying for it all, right? And I didn't care because I just wanted us to have a good time. And I knew what not having money was, you know, whatever. This is, 20 years ago, whatever. But
and there's more checks coming because
there's more checks coming. Money's rolling in. Like I'm living life. And what ended up happening was I never forget one of my friends one time behind everybody's back came up to me in private and said, "Hey, G, I don't got a lot of money, but I know that you're always spending all the money on the limo every single time we're in a limo." And he goes, "This time I want to cover the cost." He goes, "Let me pay for it." And he didn't even have the money to do that at the time. He did it because he knew that I kept on paying for it. And when that happened, I never forget that because it hit me. It was like, wow, man, like this dude's broke. But because he realizes I'm paying all the time, he wants to step up and be like, "Let me cover the cost this time." And I thought that was one of the most awesomest things in the world. So, he got taken care of more than the other people later because I knew his heart was in the right spot, but sometimes we didn't have the means to do it,
right.
But he did his best to do it. And now in this generation, we live in a give me generation. Everybody wants, but they don't want to work for it.
Yep.
They don't want to prove themselves, worthy of earning it or having it. And the reason why people progress in life is because of integrity. You're a man who says what you do. You're a person who says what you do and all these different things. And even if your word is late, you still do what you say you're going to do. It's just funny. We live in a funny world now. It's the respect and discipline, not a lot of it, but a lot of it has went out the door. And it's a whole different world now, that we're in.
You brought up an excellent thing about working for it. And one of the questions that I have for you is, this is podcasting, and there's a lot of people who jump in a podcast and they do 3 or 4 episodes and they start looking for sponsors. Like, hey, when do I get paid? When do I get paid? Like, what would you tell those people based on what you just said, essentially? Like, you got to put the work in. Like, right now, what is your message to everybody starting out podcasting, looking for sponsorship money from day one?
I would say, first of all, if you're doing it for money and money alone, not out of your heart, that you're doing it for the wrong reasons, period, anyways. What I've learned in life, man, is that when you do something from your heart and it's about the relationship and the people, you don't got to worry about what's coming back to you because it's going to come back to you in the right time. God is never going to give you anything if he can't trust you in the little. If he can't trust you in the little, he's not going to give you a lot. And so if you're doing it for the wrong reasons to begin with, you're probably going to crash and burn. Even on Shark Tank, they say, figure out what the problem is and come up with a solution. Everybody wants the solution. Everybody wants help. It took me 8 years to get my first movie, but I did it because of heart and passion that wouldn't stop me because I just love doing it so much. And I didn't have to worry about the money. The money came with it. So I would tell people, the podcasts that people are going to watch anyways are the ones that are genuine and real. That's not to say that a funny, entertaining one can't make it either.
Sure.
But so I don't want to exclude that. But I think a podcast that changes someone's heart and someone's way of thinking and renews the person, kind of giving the hopeless hope, would go much further in the long run than one that just made somebody laugh for a quick second, in my opinion. And we all got our own opinion, but I'm now at the point where I want to help change lives.
Right.
And you can't change a life without renewing the heart and the mind first. And, a lot of that comes from God and his word. Well, actually, all of it does. And that's what I'm trying to say now, I really changed as a person. When I was younger, I was a cool guy and I was humble and I was, I was happy-go-lucky. Even when I was drunk, I was the happy drunk. I wasn't the one who wanted to fight, But through that experience, I've learned that it's more about people and wanting to change their heart. And it's funny, a lot of people say you're brainwashed. Well, my brain needs a washing from everything that's happened in the past. I'm at a different point now in my life. So I would tell people that are starting out a podcast, before you even engage, do it for the right reason. Do it for the genuine purpose of the project, of what it is you're trying to do and the message you're trying to get across. And dirt will stop itself, and genuine and good will continue to flourish. You know what I'm saying? So just is what it is. But I'm all about the people now, man. I really changed, man. God has renewed my mindset and has pushed the refresh button. And I just want to help. I want to see everybody succeed. I even made a comment when I first got into this business, because I started noticing it. I said, there would be no hate in this business if people understood that there was enough room for everybody in this business.
That's it right there.
So that's what I tell people, man. There's a lot more to that, but that was kind of a hard question and a little caught off guard, which is good. I like that. But I like being challenged because it helps me in my life also as well. So, but yeah, that's what I would say in a nutshell right now. That would be my nutshell answer to that question.
So you said before, and that was a good response too, by the way, people got to put the reps in, they got to do the reps, and you help enough people get what they want. I know it's very cliche, but eventually you'll get what you want. You were asked before in other interviews, and I'm not going to ask you, but in a sense, by answering this, it's kind of the same thing, about being typecast. You had a really good response about not caring about, being typecast because the work is the work. Where does that come from?
It just comes from real life, if I'm not going to do it, someone else is going to do it. You know what I mean? And there's certain things that I wouldn't do and I would do as far to a character of a movie that I play in. Just for the simple fact that to each their own, no judgment, no, but like Dave Chappelle said, you watch Dave Chappelle's YouTube video, he's like, you ain't gonna put the black man in the dress. Like, it ain't gonna happen. Yep. And they were telling him this black guy did it, this black guy did it, this black guy did it, but I'm the black man who's not gonna do it. And I'm the Mexican Latino guy who's not gonna do it. I'm not comfortable in a dress. I'm not going to wear a dress.
Yeah, I wouldn't play a gay person, right?
I wouldn't play a gay guy. No judgment. I got gay friends. In Hollywood, you learn how to make all kinds of different friends that are real, genuine friends of mine. We shared these things with each other before. No judgment, but I just won't play a gay role. I won't wear a dress. There's certain roles that I would not take on that I just won't do. But if they need a street gangster cat and some hardcore, I'll play that, whatever. But it's Hollywood, all it is really is just giving me a platform to be heard and share my voice with whoever's willing to listen. I always tell people that if you can't give a positive message to 2 people privately, you don't even deserve to be in front of 1,000 people or 5,000 people anyways.
Right.
It doesn't matter. You don't do it for the glory and recognition. You do it because that's truly what's in your heart to do, because I genuinely like helping people, and it does not have to be seen by anybody. I do it because that's me, and that's what I want to do, and that's what I do. You know what I mean? So I help a lot of people, and the best way to say it is you don't do it for the audience of people anyways. You do it for the audience of one, which is God, and that's all who needs to see it and know it. And that's why I do it, because we have so much hate in this world, and with everything going on, right now, people need help. There's so many suicides happening. There's people that are turning to drugs to get away from their problems, drinking to get away from their problems. But when you turn to those solutions, you wake up to it the next day because you didn't deal with your problem.
Right. You just covered it up.
You just covered it up. You masked it, and you gotta deal with your problems, and you gotta face them head on, and you gotta go through it. But when you go through the storm, you come out a winner on the other side. So I just let people know, man, I did it. You can do it. It's not easy. It's rough. You're going to hit your speed bumps. You're going to have your uphill battles that feel like you're going uphill both ways. And, but you're going to make it through because God will never give you anything that you can't handle. If you think you can't handle it, it's because you think you can't handle it.
Right.
But your Father says different. He says, no, you can handle it. You just got to man up, woman up, and go handle it. And once you go through the excuse my French, the shit and the dirt and the filth, you're going to come out clean on the other side and be a winner that you were meant to be. And those are the stories that make people strong, for the simple fact that you end up being someone else's strength. You end up being someone else's hope. You end up being someone else's dream. You end up being someone else's answer, because you're able to say, I was there at one time. Right where you're at right now, I myself thought I wasn't going to make it. I myself thought I wasn't going to come through. But look at me, I came through. I made it. This is what I did. I did A, B, and C. And you could do it too, man, and be where I'm at. And so people just gotta, and I know it's hard. I got a heart, man. I know it's hard. I'm not saying it's easy. It's not gonna be easy. But if you keep on pushing through, and that's why we need God's strength to do it. Because God lets us know we can't do it on our own strength. We do need help. And we do it on his strength. We got to be God confident, not self-confident. You know, God is our power source. And that's why I tell people, man, the more that we get into line with God, the more God cannot bless mess. You're all out of order, but you want to be blessed. It don't work like that. The more you put yourself into order a piece at a time, God will bless, and then God will bless, and then he'll take care, and then you'll start noticing your new life starting to get back into order.
Can't make chicken salad out of chicken shit.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go. I wanted to respond to one thing that you had said.
We'll put that on a shirt.
Yeah.
On a bumper sticker.
There's nothing wrong, first of all, because there's going to be people who listen to this and have watched your other, interviews that take some major issue with some of the things that you were saying about roles that you wouldn't play. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Everybody still has the right to be themselves. It doesn't mean you don't like you were saying, doesn't mean you don't like homosexuals. Doesn't mean you don't, you're not down with all that, you don't have friends. It does not mean that. It's just your own personal choice. And people need to understand that, because those are the type of statements in today's cancel culture that people run with, like cancel Noel G, cancel Noel G. He's against gays. Cancel. No, that's not what you fucking said. You said for you personally, you're not trying to play those roles. But let me ask you this. What is your dream role? Like, if someone were to kick down the door and said, hey, Noel, we've been looking for you. There you are. Come with us. What is your dream role?
Yeah. Nowadays, though, just to say this one thing and then jump into that.
Sure.
Anything you say is wrong. If you're right, you're wrong. If you're wrong, you're right. No matter what you say nowadays, you can't win. You're going to have people who agree with you, people who don't agree with you. Be yourself. Do what it is you do. And let it be what it is. But what's funny is, at the same time, my dream role, I don't really have a dream role. I have dream movies that I would like to get done. I can't say that publicly because that would let that out.
Understood.
But the movies that I do want to make would be encouraging, inspiring, and they would be a godly message, not a noble message, because again, that's my belief. And, that's why this world is so beautiful, because we have different people who believe different ways. And then at the end of the day, you choose which one makes the most sense to you or which one you want to ride with. And then that's what you go with. And long story short, though, my movies at the end of the day would lead people to Christ, because I have movies that I want to make that would do the same for you or anybody else of what God has done for me. And those are the movies that I want to make, my dream movies that I want to do. So that's something that I'm hoping happens before I die. Like 50 Cent said, I'm going to do them or die trying. So
that's right.
I'm just gonna keep on trying and see what's up and, roll the dice and take my chances and my risks. And if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, then, damn.
Like have you never like sat back and you're watching something like Star Wars or something, right? And you're like, fuck, I wish I was Han Solo right now. Have you put yourself in a movie just
I wouldn't mind being in a Star Wars flick, man. I'm a Star Wars geek fan, bro. Like I collect a lot of Star Wars Legos and I got them all on deck. Oh man, shout out to someone who's always getting me Star Wars Legos and I'm just loving it. Because she's a big reason for a big part of my collection. I would love to be in a Star Wars movie, Sometimes I make a joke. I'm like the Mexican Samuel Jackson, That guy's in everything.
He's in everything, yeah.
Jurassic Park, Star Wars. I'm like, damn, I want to follow his footsteps. But I wouldn't mind being in movies like that. Of course not. I would love to. I'm kind of like, I would love to do anything because you only live one life. So I would, of course, love to have an opportunity to do this or that, that is something different out of, just a street movie, So I would love to do movies like that. I just did one recently with my boy Chris Fulkins, The Catalyst. Okay. And that's kind of a different movie, futurized and kind of like, Star Trek, Star Wars.
Is it out yet or
not yet?
Not yet?
But,
okay.
That's going to be dropping soon. And that's kind of in another world. That movie's like in another world. So I would say that's a good flick, like something. But yeah, I would love to do stuff like that.
Speaking of recent stuff, before I move on, because we're going to talk a little bit about you coming up, in your childhood, is watch The Tax Collector.
Tax Collector, man, with my boy David Ayers, Conejo, George Lopez up in there, Shia LaBeouf, Chelsea Randon's up in there, Bobby Soto. That's a movie you got to check out. That's on the bucket list. That's one of my last movies that has just come out. I was blessed to have done something before COVID, have it come out during COVID. So that's another movie, put that on the list. Check it out. I've been grinding with my boy David Ayer for years now. And, he's a big part of my career. He's always remembered me and, kept me afloat and just, shout out. So that's what's up.
The movie was sick. So you worked at a convalescent home in your late teens, and you've told this story in other interviews. Tell our listeners what the question was so they don't have to go back and dig. There was a question asked for people 65 years in age or older that resonated with you so strongly.
So they asked everybody over 65 years and older, if you could go back and change something about your life, what would you have done differently? And 83% of the people in the home that I worked in at the time said that they would have took more risks and more challenges in their life because now they're 65 and older wondering, could have I owned that business? Could have I owned that clothing store? Could have I became that rapper? Could have I became that actress? Could have I became that actor? Could have I became that doctor? And now they're 65 and older wondering, dang, could have it happened or not? Because they didn't take more risks and challenges in their life when they were younger. So I always tell people the stupidest question that you can ask is the one that you do not ask. So take risks, take challenges in your life, go knock on doors, hustle, grind, a closed mouth don't get fed, have the gift of gab, have a personality, be loving, be out there, be a problem solver, not a problem. I always said this in other interviews too, and I'll just give a quick recap here for this one.
Please.
When you go to work and if you say, I'm sorry I'm late. I'm sorry I didn't take care of that phone call you asked me to take care of. I'm sorry I forgot that email. I'm sorry I forgot to do that fax. I'm sorry I forgot to pick up what was needed in the supply room. You just become a sorry worker. And nobody wants to work with sorry people. They want problem solvers, not a problem. And, that doesn't keep a business moving forward. So at some point in time, you cannot be sorry. You got to just do. And that's it. And, there's no way around that. If you get away with what you get away with, then you got one hell of a boss, So
why did that mean so much to you to have heard that from those 65 and older?
It meant so much to me because of the simple fact that whenever you're young and you have something implemented in you, deposited in you, you can't output what you don't have deposited in you. And so long story short, it meant the world to me because it made me a risk taker. It made me challenge myself. It made me go knock on doors because getting to have that blessing to hear that then made me say, I don't want to be one of those people. Here's all these people right here who are mad or disgruntled or hating life because they don't know and they failed or they didn't make it and they settled. Regret. And no, not me. I got the chance because I was able to hear not only one, all of their stories of why they did. So I said, fudge that. I ain't gonna do that. You know, I go, I'm gonna go out there and do it and not be one of them.
You could say fucking this
later. Yeah, I know, I feel you, man. I do cuss, man. I do cuss, to be real with you. That's why I said, like, ever since 2015, I've been back and forth with God, one day devil, and that's a whole nother speech. But anyways, what I tell people, man, I just keep it real, is God, it's the hardest thing in the world to serve God because of certain things you have to give up in life. But anyways, to jump back to your question, that's why, I've been able to make my dream a reality. I've been able to push forward and be a go-getter and say, you know what? I care less. I got nothing to lose. I'm doing it. And that's where I got where I'm at today, because I pushed forward and I said, fuck it. And there it is. There it is. There's my cuss word for you. So I did it. And, here I am.
So that's one of two things that made a huge difference on you. But what happens if you're not there, knowing how impactful that has been for you over the last 30 plus years, or however long that was? I think it was somewhere between 15 and 18 years old. If you don't hear that message, where are you today?
I can't answer that question, because if I don't hear that message,
because it changed you so much, or it impacted you enough to just be like, bing.
That doesn't mean that I couldn't have heard something later down the line, or heard another, because there is something else that happened that I heard that had nothing to do with the convalescent home. But I took what happened at the convalescent home and what happened to me in this acting class in order to move forward. And back in my days when I started, you got to remember that there was no such thing as emails and this and that. You had to get a picture, put it in an envelope, mail it out, and hope for the best. And I was in this acting class, and I found myself becoming a professional student instead of a working actor. And I never forget, I told the acting teacher, I was like, man, I don't got money to pay for this acting class. What's up? After a year of taking the class, I was paying and breaking bread. I'm like, I don't got this type of money to pay for this acting class. You need to tell me how to be in a television show. You need to tell me how to be in a movie. You need to tell me how to get some work now. Like, I've been doing this long enough, and I don't got the money to continue to pay just to learn how to act. And I never forget what he did. He told me, meet me after class. So I met him after class, and he showed me this book that had all the agencies in it. But under 90% of all the agencies, in big black bold print lettering, it said absolutely no phone calls or personal deliveries. And he said, you know what that's really saying? He's saying, if you don't think you're good enough, don't walk in their office. So I had to look at that a different way.
Sure.
So what I did was I took down all the agencies from lowest address to highest address on the same boulevard, and I just went in their office, and I had my headshot and my picture, and I was like, what's up, man? My name's Noel G. I'm here trying to be an actor. And some were like, get the hell out of the office. We don't do it like that. But others were like, I like your courage, man. You're pretty damn bold to just walk in the office and ask for an agent and a manager to represent you. But you know what? I like your courage. Let me see what I could do for you. Before you know it, I got an agent and a manager, started getting sent out on auditions, started booking jobs. I had students in the classroom asking me, how the hell you get in a movie? How you get in a TV show? And those were experiences in my life that helped me advance in my life. Carry forward. So I can't answer that question because that didn't happen to me. If that happened to me, I don't know what would have happened because it didn't happen to me. I'm blessed because this is my life and what did happen to me. And this is why I'm here now sharing the story that I'm sharing now, because if these things didn't happen to me, you would meet another Noel who's a whole nother person with a whole nother story, a whole nother whatever. That would be something maybe different who he's not now. So I can't answer that question.
That's fair.
I can only answer for who I am now.
Right. That's fair. And everything you've gone through has brought you to the point where you are today.
Correct.
That's one of those things where, like, if you could go back in time, would you do this? Would you do that? And I'm the same way. I say, I can't answer that because everything that's ever happened to me has brought me to where I'm at today.
Right.
Okay, so age of 13, right? We're going to touch on this. Parents pieced out on you. Like, they're gone. $500, here you go. Good luck with life. And you said you don't blame your mom at all. You know, why do you say that? So you had a pretty decent life. You did sports and all that kind of stuff. But were you kind of getting in trouble and shit? And mom was just kind of like, I'm tired of yelling at you all the time? Or like, where does that come from?
No. So I don't blame my mom at all because my dad was the breadwinner of the family. He was stingy though. He didn't, my mom was like, let's put him in sports. That's a waste of money. Let's put him here. That's a waste of money. Let's get him. That's a waste of money.
God, he sounds like me.
So,
shit.
So, my mom, to be able to have some of the extra things that I was able to have, she was a house cleaning lady, made her own money and said, okay, you don't want to do it for our son. I'll go make the money and do it with my money. And I never forget that.
Right.
I see my mom, it's a little hard to talk about because my mom just passed away. But
sorry for your loss.
I see my mom, it was recent. My mom just passed away 6 months ago, so it's still a little tough. But strong mom though, man. She cancer fighter for 15 years, got a brain tumor though, and that took her out in 2 months. And that's what kind of, yeah. But anyways, reason why I don't blame my mom is because my dad came home one day out of nowhere and just said, I'm leaving. Since I've told this story numerous times, I'm going to stick on my mom and why I don't blame her. Number one is I saw my mom fight tooth and nail to do everything that she could for me. My dad wasn't a bad dad. You know, he was stuck in his ways. You know, he's an Italian man. My mom's Mexican. And if you know Italian guys, they're hardcore guys, you know. Good fellas is no lie. And
he's one of us. He's a good guy. He's a good fellow.
Right. And he was just stuck in his ways, you know. But good father. He provided. He, gave us a home and, whatever. But when my dad came home and said, I'm leaving, I call it the 2 weeks of hell. My mom fought tooth and nail, like, what type of man are you? Who are you? What are you talking about? What do you mean you're leaving?
Right. Reasonable questions.
And I was there, exactly. And I was there for the 2 weeks. I witnessed all of it. My mom fought tooth and nail. Like, you're crazy, don't leave. What are you talking about? Are you serious? I heard them arguing. I'm in the bedroom next door. And my mom was crying in the 2 weeks while my dad was really executing this plan. He's selling the house. He's putting up stuff in storage. He's packing. And my mom is like, who have you become? And I saw my mom fight so hard for me, for my dad not to leave us. But my dad was the breadwinner, and we couldn't have what we had
without
if it
him.
wasn't for him. Because I didn't grow up poor. I grew up in a middle-class home. I was straight, And I went to my mom and I said, don't worry, I have a place to live. I go, one of my friends is going to let me live with them. I go, I'm already taken care of. I really didn't have a place to live.
Right.
I said this to ease my mom's. I said, go with my dad on the boat because I got a place to live. I'll be okay. Even then, she didn't want to go.
Of course.
But I forced her to go because I knew that if she would have stayed, it would have been 2 homeless people instead of 1. And so my mom went. And I never saw the most hurt, broken woman in my life. And with no understanding of why this is even happening. You got to remember, when my dad did that, it was like a light bulb. It was literally like an on and off switch. It just, imagine one day living normal. You're in a middle class home, and one day the owner of that home comes and just says, I'm gone. I'm leaving. Good luck to you guys. It's like, what? It was the craziest thing ever. But, so that's why I don't blame my mom. And that's why I do everything in my power when my mom was alive to be there for her 100% and help her and be there for her.
So I know people kind of throw this around a lot, but this happens to us at all points of our lives without us even realizing. Like that's some ingrained, like that's some PTSD stuff that it changes your life. It's a life altering event. So the story for the listeners who don't know it is your father had a best friend with a lot of money and he says, come travel the world with me. I could only assume that he didn't really know what his situation was at home. His best friend, maybe, like if he knows the fact that this guy's getting ready to peace out on his own son, do you think he ever would have asked him, or do you not even know?
I think
that's some ballsy shit for one person to ask another, hey, drop everything and let's go do this.
So the only thing that brought pleasure to my dad was scuba diving and fishing, because my dad was a heavy scuba diver and a fisherman. And this guy owned a big boat, it was like a yacht almost. And, you get the opportunity to live on a boat, go sell the world, and you only live once. At that time, you find out a little what's more important to you. Mm. And so he left. And, it was, I would assume that he knew. They just didn't care, But I don't blame the best friend. He presented someone with an opportunity. He didn't have to do it. But I really want to make this clear, though. I forgive my dad. I don't even, I love him now and I forgive him. And I had a plan, when I first seen my dad, I just wanted to cuss him out, fight him and, beat his ass.
Which makes sense.
But then through maturity and loving God so much and being taught by God's word on what you should and shouldn't do, I forgave him, said, I want to understand why you did what you did. And now we email each other and we're redeveloping our relationship. And that's been happening now for the past 3 years. So the first time I saw my dad is when I was 42, 41, somewhere in there. So I haven't seen my dad since I was 13 years old to 41. Never saw him, talk to him, email, phone call, nothing.
So how did that happen?
He just showed up at my door with my mom. My mom brought him to my house. So that's how that happened. And just, kind of hugged him. Not going to lie, it was an awkward hug. And we talked and I just said, I'm hurt by what you did and it is what it is now. But I said, I'm a different man now and I just want to understand. And I go, Dad, I'm not even mad at you. I don't even worry about it. Like, let's just start over. And we started over. And life goes on.
I don't know if I would rather, because I don't know, my father just passed as well in October. I was adopted when I was a kid, 4 years old.
That's a tougher love.
I have a life book. It is. I have a life book and I have some photos, but no photos of this guy. I have no idea where he's at.
Right.
And it's one of those things where I don't know, because I've never been angry about that, but I probably would be if I was 13, because that's a dangerous time, for a parent to peace out or to lose a parent, or, that's a really dangerous time in your life. So it's really something special. Like I was saying earlier, through age comes perspective, that you're able to have something with both, even though your mother's no longer with us. There's a lot to be said about that, man. So do you have any children?
I got 3. At 13, at the time they left, I hated the world. I couldn't understand why they left. Of course, I'm going through stuff. It was funny too, because I never forget this. So I used to sneak out a lot of my house. At the time we were living there.
Did you do the whole blanket pillow stuff thing?
I did it all, man. I did the Ferris Bueller move and everything, right? Without the sound effects.
Right.
And my dad takes off. A house that was once furnished like this, empty. Nothing but the rug in there. Nothing but the carpet in there. But because I used to sneak out in the middle of the night, I knew how to get in and out. And I was sleeping in that house for a month. And I used to shower there in the daytime and everything because the water was still running and stuff.
Right.
And it was the craziest thing. A house that was once furnished, completely empty, nothing but the carpet inside. I used to sneak back in through the bathroom window, sliding glass door, and I used to sleep there. The time that I had to realize my journey began is when I went to the kitchen one time and I saw a phone connected in the kitchen.
No snap.
And I picked up the phone and there was a dial tone. And I said, some people have been in here. That means the new owners were coming in. And that's where I started my real journey.
So you were squatting in your own house, essentially.
Yeah. And I took off and then met the homies in the neighborhood. And they taught me how to be a gangster and taught me how to steal and rob. And this was the new family I took in. And then my street life started. And there we go.
Before we move on, are you having children of your own? And we don't have to get into them, but are you afraid of becoming your parents or afraid of becoming the person your father was at the time?
I have become that dad in a way. So 2 of my kids, I have a relationship with. My 3rd kid, I don't.
Is that the older one or the youngest?
That's the youngest.
Youngest.
And it's a long story.
Right.
I don't blame the kid at all.
Yeah.
It is not the kid's fault at all. But, and there's no excuse for it, actually, to be real either. I'm pretty open because I just don't care. I just want to be real, you know? And I have to engage in a relationship with them. I got to make the move and fix that. But the other 2, in my daughter's life, my daughter being my first, I was never a good dad emotionally. Right. Oh, but I was a super dad financially. But that don't make it right. And then I, saw her then and there because I cared more about partying. I cared more about women. I cared more about acting a fool in the streets. I just didn't care. And 2008 is when I started becoming a better father to my daughter, emotionally, because that's when I turned my life over to God. And God started teaching me new things and new ways. And so I was always in my daughter's life from day one. Off and on emotionally, 100% financially though. Then in 2008, I became an emotional good father as well as a financial father to my daughter. But I don't give my daughter stuff. She knows that. I teach her. I say, because I'm your father, right, you're going to have a lot of help, but at the same time, you're still going to learn discipline and you're still going to learn how to do for yourself.
100%, man.
And then with my second son, I'm developing a relationship with him and we're starting our new relationship. And the third son, I could just honestly say is a nightmare and I have to fix that. And that's the truth with my kids. And again, I don't care because, not in the sense of don't care like that. I don't care in the sense that I keep it 100% real because I think nowadays that's what we need. And there's nothing more gritty, raw, and real than being real. So I let it out there and hopefully you guys can learn from me to not make the same mistakes. I always tell people, reading a book is reading someone else's mistakes in someone else's life.
Right.
So you don't have to make the same mistakes and have the same life to have a better life. You kind of fast forward yourself. And I always say the student should become better than the teacher because the student has all the knowledge from what the teacher taught, but then they have their own life experiences as well. So every teacher should become better than the next teacher. And, that's just the way I believe. So yeah.
First off, I would say, thanks for sharing all of that. You said there's no excuses, but one thing there definitely is time. Time kind of brought you and your parents back together and we're able to get some closure with that from as a child. And so there's still time, man. There's still time, which is good.
Oh, and thank you for that. And I appreciate that. And, I am going to fix things in time, and everything takes time, and it's how you utilize your time too. What you put your time into and what you don't put your time into. So it's recognizing that as well. So I am going to come back strong and finish great. Unless I die in between that on an accident or something.
Well, hopefully not, but we have a hell of a good story then. So over your years of acting, going back to I guess the last 20, right, with Fast Furious, that's when everything really started going forward. Have you met people on set that you've become like good friends with, or is this kind of like everybody's independent contractor and maybe you work with them again, maybe you don't, but you don't really
a little
keep
bit of
in contact?
All that. Made some great friends, some acquaintances, some we're cool with just when we see each other again. Vin Diesel, for example, is the reason why I came back to part 7. So gotta love him.
Shout out to Vin.
Vin Diesel wanted me back in the franchise, and so I was able to come back to part 7 because of him, putting in word and bringing me back. So that's a all over the place answer, because sometimes a lot of people think like because we're actors and we're in the same movie, we're all hanging out together. Some are like that.
SAG posse, right? SAG posse.
Yeah. Some are like that and some aren't. There's some that I'm close with and some that I'm not close with. And, it just is what it is. But we always have a good time and respect each other when we see each other, show love to each other, and, try to make more movies and projects and things happen. So, yeah.
Without naming names, is there anybody you've worked with where you're just like, this person is an asshole?
I can't name names on that one, but there's some people that unfortunately have allowed Hollywood to get to their head,
right? Or
fame get to their head, and they treat people nasty. And I've seen it right in front of my face, and I don't know. I don't want that reputation following me around. So I'm cool with everybody. I always say something is
right. You're gonna have to be the bigger man.
I mean, I wouldn't say it that way respectfully.
Right.
It's just who you are. It doesn't make you a bigger man. It just makes you who you are. But in my opinion, I get what you're saying and how you were saying it. But I would just say, I always make a joke, if you never disrespect me, you never meet Noel G part 2. And that's how it goes. You don't want
none of that sequel smoke.
I just want to respect everybody. I'm about helping people and respect. And even when I wasn't in that mindset back in the early days, not helping people, meaning like not helping them the right way, not helping them the right way, giving them the right advice. Because I have an old file and now I got a new file. My old file gave some advice that the new file wouldn't give today. So I thought I was always helping people, but I was helping people the wrong way. But my point that I'm making is, even back then, again, I was always cool with anybody and everybody because I didn't care who you were. I'm from the streets, and I just loved everybody. I could talk to a homeless guy the same way I could talk to a rich man. It didn't make no difference. And that's how I am today. I talk to anybody and everybody. Respect. Sometimes we have to agree to disagree. I've had conversations with people that have straight up told me to my face, I don't believe in God. Okay, cool. That's your opinion. My opinion is I do. It is what it is. That didn't make us, but what's funny is like, once you talk about cars, your favorite, baseball team, your favorite football team, sports, whatever, it's all gravy. But once you talk about your belief, that's where
other stuff, real stuff.
That's where all of a sudden it gets kind of funny. And, so I've had those conversations, but then it's always come down with certain, just an agree to disagree situation. And I respect what you believe. You respect what I believe. But, hey, so you still want to go to that ball game together or not? All right, let's go.
Right.
So it just is what it is.
Let's go back a little bit. So it took you 8 years to get your first big gig.
Yeah.
Right. What's the lowest of the low during that 8-year period? Because first you do your Taco Bell commercial and you're like, I'm on my way. And then you realize you have to work all those different jobs and you keep working. I mean, there had to be at least some time where you're like, fuck this, I'm done with this.
Yeah. The lowest of the low for me probably is when I was locked up, when I was doing dirt in the streets. I did 4 years, but that was off and on years. So I did a year straight. And then when I got out, I did another 8 months, but I was only out for like 3 months. And then I went back for 8 months fighting the case. And then being on probation, everything you do is a violation. So I got 6 months sentence here, 6 months sentence there, 3 months sentence there. So if you add it all up, I did 4 years total, all the months that I spent locked up off and on. And what's crazy about that was I got a wake-up call one time. I was facing 15 years in prison, assault with a deadly weapon, attempted murder, and second strike. And that was my wake-up call. That's where I realized, man, I don't care how tough you are, how tatted up you are. No one wants to be locked up in a 2-man cell. And I don't, at least. And I always tell people,
I don't either.
Yeah, exactly. I always tell people, if I'm a dork and a nerd because I want freedom and a family, then I'd rather be a dork and a nerd with freedom and a family than a tough guy in a 2-man cell. So that's how I answer the question. So that was my lowest of my low, meaning that was my wake-up call of like, I don't want to be locked up. And you know the street life, it's the most iconic answer, but it's the truth, is death or jail. Right. And long story short, I don't want to be none of those things, man. I want to be remembered for something great. I want to be remembered for helping people and guiding people the right way, and being a man of God. And that's why I share my real struggle, because I let other people know that serving God is not the easiest thing in the world. And you're going to have your ups and downs. You're going to have one day God, one day devil, one day God, one day devil. Because I remember when I was in integrity with God and married to my wife at the time, we made a joke. We're like, hey, we're serving God. Welcome to the boring life now. And it was just, it was a joke, but it wasn't a joke, but it was, because God is exciting. Don't get it twisted, but you get the joke of what I'm saying. So the lowest of the low is when I didn't care about my life no more. And there was a time, to keep it 100, that I was suicidal and didn't want to live no more. A lot of people, they're funny, man. Like, they see the movies and the money and the bling, and they think like, oh, that guy has it all together. And there's so many people who don't have it all together, even though they have everything in the world.
Yep.
They don't. You got to be heart in your right and in your mind. And you learn different things from different people. My boy Richard Montanez, the guy who created Hot Flaming Cheetos, love that guy to death.
I love him too. Now I know that, because that's my favorite. Yeah,
I just had some before you got here. But he made a comment, that don't tell people that money can't buy you happiness. It can buy you happiness. Don't tell me that if I didn't give you $5,000 cash right now, you wouldn't be a happy camper. But the happiness will fade.
Right.
How do you find real, true joy that will last you forever? You find it in Jesus Christ. And so it's things like this, man, that you learn, that you hear, that you take in, and that's who makes you who you are today. So for me, the lowest of the low is when I wanted to quit in life, give up, commit suicide, because I thought nothing in my life was worthy of happening or is happening. But then there was a day, a light bulb switch that kicked on, and I said to myself, that's not the route I want to take. That's not the statistic that I want to become. Let me overcome that. And that's when God gave me the strength to overcome it and get through it. And I'll be real, man. It was one of the hardest times ever in my damn life. It was at a time where I thought nothing could ever save me or pull me out. And I got pulled out.
And here you are.
And here I am.
Here you are.
And that's why I'm saying, man, that's why we get to be someone else's strength and someone else's hope. If you're not someone else's strength and hope, then you're with them in the shit. And you could be, or it's up to you to decide how strong you're going to be and how much you're going to fight. And that's why, I always tell people, and it's kind of funny, but just to do a demonstration, how much do you got in you?
Right.
How much are you going to keep on going?
Yep.
Until one day you just give up and say enough's enough. And me, I got a lot of that in me. I'm going to keep going. So yeah.
My man just startled me a little bit. Hey, you want to?
He jumped.
Let's jump into some lighthearted stuff before we wrap this up. You game?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I got 15% left on the phone, so I want to.
That's plenty, man.
We make it before it
we
cuts
will.
out.
So you said you used to. Well, now you drink on and off. You used to be a heavy drinker, but not so much. So, what is your drink of choice today? What is Noel G's drink of choice?
When I was in integrity with God in between 2008 and 15, 100% full integrity, I went from demon to angel overnight. I quit drinking. I was no longer a male slut. I quit gambling. I quit fighting. I quit putting myself in atmospheres that were easy to fall into sin.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say I didn't cuss, but what I can say is I didn't cuss in 7 years, 90% of those 7 years. I changed my way of speaking. I changed my language. But I did cuss in those 7 years, but I kid you not, it was like 10%. Now I cuss like every other word. You can see how I control it in an interview, obviously. But, you know, when I'm talking freely, I cuss a lot, you know? But in an interview, I try to keep it as clean as possible out of respect to the viewers and certain viewers who were watching and like that. So I went from demon to angel literally overnight, like this, like black and white. And that's not to say I was better than anyone or anything. It's just I made a choice.
Personal choice.
I made a personal choice to serve God and to be in integrity with God and to do things that God would have me do, not things that Noel would usually do. Because if you accept God into your life truly, really, there should also be a change in lifestyle. There should be oh man, before God, you were like that. But now that you're serving God, who are you now? You're becoming someone new. That's why you're reborn again in the flesh, because He renewed your heart, renewed your mind, renewed your way of thinking, renewed some of the old things that you used to do. That's why we love God so much, because He's someone who helped us in life to be someone different in life from who we were in the past. And so then, and I'm answering the question. But I always set everything up because I want people to understand why I answer a question on why I answer the question the way I answer a question. So what ended up happening was, not going to lie in front. Again, I'm keeping it 100. My marriage tore me up, bro. That was another low point in my life, losing my wife. It really tore me up bad because I lost a good woman. And I tell everybody straight out, it wasn't her fault at all. I was the piece of shit, not her. That was a great, fantastic lady. You know when they tell you, you have a girl who's great, don't lose her? That's exactly what I did. I lost a good lady. And long story short, it messed me up. And the Bible says, when you stop serving God, you go like a dog backs to its vomit.
Yes.
You go back to what you knew. And that's exactly what I did. I went back to what I knew, which was the old Noel: gambling, male slut, cussing, drinking, hanging out, acting a fool. The only thing I didn't go back to, by the way, was smoking weed. I haven't smoked weed since 2008, but I did go back to drinking though. So anyways, now I drink off and on. Now I drink here and there, but my drink of choice is Corona. And it was funny, dude, when the coronavirus came out, everyone was like, coronavirus. I was like, no, dude, what do I got? That's all I drink. And then I found out that wasn't it and whatever. But anyways, Corona's my my drink, you know. And but again, I don't drink anything like I used to.
Sure.
Before 2008, I drink every day. And literally when I say every day, I meant like every day.
Yeah.
But now it's just on and off. Sometimes I'll have a beer, sometimes I won't. You know, it just is what it is. So,
lime or no lime?
No lime. I usually drink it. It puts a little hair on your chest when you drink it straight. So I was playing, but yeah. So anyways, that's the answer.
Yeah, I don't have time for the lime. I don't care. What is your most hated movie reference? So, hey, I know you from blah, blah, blah. I actually have a movie written down, but I skipped it just to ask you. What
let me hear it. Let me hear it real quick.
Bruce Almighty. Is that your most hated one?
Now, you know what's funny, man? I don't really have one, to keep it real with you. It is kind of funny, though, because there's not one day that goes by that I don't hear Bruce Almighty, hey, the monkey. It's hard to laugh at that joke 15,000 times when you heard it 15,000 times. But I understand when it's someone new coming up. So I'll laugh as if I heard it for the first time. But it's getting hard now.
But that's real, yeah.
But long story short, I don't really have a hated movie reference, to be honest with you, because it's a blessing to be recognized, period.
Sure.
And so whatever someone's excited for, hallelujah and amen. And that's awesome and super cool and no problems here, because I get it that it's their first time ever seeing me. So I just accept it and laugh about it, joke and say, okay, cool. And whatever, but I don't really have a hated movie reference. It's a blessing to be recognized off of anything, period, whether it was the small movie or the big movie. If they loved it or hated it, hey, I'm recognized. You know what I mean? So it's like, whatever.
How often do you get to hear the 3-spoon motor Honda Civic?
Oh, man,
thing?
I hear that every day, bro. Every single day.
Like 100 times a day, 150 times a day.
I hear training day off and on. But you know what's so cool? It's so cool that something from so many years ago can stick with people to this day.
Right.
When you make a business or have a dream, that's an awesome thing for it to be remembered for so long and go down with you till death do you part. So I love it, man. It's all in fun, man. It's just, I'm very blessed to live a fun life. Very blessed to live a fun life. And what I love about my job, and I never say anything against the guy who works the 9 to 5, because there's nothing wrong with any job. I always say, If you love what you do, it's not work anyways. We've all heard that one. And long story, but that's the truth. And what I love about my job is that I'm always traveling, get to do things like this. I'm always meeting different people. It's always something different when I show up. That's a fun job. Who's complaining? Not me. So I love my job.
As you were saying that, I was thinking, because you were in the original Fast and you're in Fast 7, and there's a scenario that could possibly play out where you could be in a future Fast, but just having that slice of the original Fast and Furious, and then having people remember you from that's pretty fucking special and pretty cool. So I completely get your response on that. Is Fast and Furious 9 headed to space?
I know, right? I wouldn't be surprised if it is, man. I trip out. Fast and Furious is the most money-making franchise for Universal Studios ever.
Ever, right.
So they're not going to stop it. They're just not going to stop it. If it's the most money-making movie and the number one, why would they stop it? So it's going to go on and on and on.
Why do you travel around and do what you do? Because it seems like it could be kind of nerve-wracking, and I know people enjoy seeing it, but I've seen you at 2 charity events out here in Scottsdale. Why is that important to you?
Because it goes back to helping people, being there for people, meeting people, being a people's person, and being able to, having the blessing to even be able to go here, there, and there. So I love it for the simple fact that I get to meet all kinds of different people from all kinds of different places. And again, you only live once. Travel as much as you can. You know what I mean? I remember when I was in the hood. Well, let me put it to you this way. I never really traveled before acting.
Right.
So that was a whole new experience for me. And traveling has expanded my mind so crazy, because sometimes your biggest blessings are not at home. They're somewhere else. And ever since I've been traveling, man, it's made me see and think so many different ways, where it's just expanded my mind so much, where I've been able to learn and see historical sites, see places of things that happened in other places that were talked about to me in school that I never got to see before, things like that. So I love traveling, man. I love it with a passion. I love getting to meet people. I love all that stuff. So
I see you. I forgot to. You just brought it up. I do see you. You go to places. You go. I'm here at this museum. Or I'm here checking this out.
I do that all the time, man. So whenever I travel now, I got this new thing. I always want to go to a place that I can never go to, that I won't get the chance to go to at home, to go see it and just to say that I've been there. So one of the first things I do when I touch down after I settle in the hotel is I always go look at the pamphlets or ask people who live there. I say, what's an historical site around here? Or what museums are around here? Or what's something that I can't see at home that's famous for here? And I just like to go check it out, Instagram it, show people I've been there. And that's it. So
that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, I just love doing that stuff, you know? So just like last night, you know, I in Arizona, I went to the Winter Wonderland Christmas house, which I thought was one of the most awesomest things in the world. You know, it's something for the people. It's something where people can have fun. There's no violence. People can get away for a minute and just trip out on something that's so awesome. And just to go check it out, even though I was only there for about 20 minutes, half hour, it was just something to be like, man, I've been there. You know, it was a cool spot to check out, and the passion that was put behind it, like it took you away from your problems for a minute. It took you away from your anxiety or stress or whatever. It was like, man, let me just enjoy this and have fun and relax for a moment. And I love doing stuff like that because that's what we need to do. I tell people straight up, straight out, even if you can't afford a vacation, find a way to go take a vacation and take a vacation, because when you do that, when you force yourself to take a vacation, dude, I promise you, it will make you think differently and put you on a whole nother level. And it will make you just relax for a minute and get away from everything. And you will get a flash moment of something.
It's good for your soul, man.
Yeah.
It's good for your soul. Let's get you out of here on this. Tell us about Godsters.
So Godsters is a clothing line that I started when I was in full integrity with God, because the blessing of God is that he gives you visions, dreams, and ideas that are not Noel ideas. They're God ideas. A God idea will always be better than a Noel idea. And God gave me the vision. One time I was in church and I was just worshiping God, and God said, open up your eyes and look in front of you. And I didn't want to, I was fighting. He's like, open up your eyes and look in front of you. And I heard God tell me that specifically. And I was fighting. I didn't want to open up my eyes. And I opened up my eyes. I look in front of me, and there was 4 gangsters that were in front of me that were worshiping God also as well with their arms up. The difference is when they had their arms up, they were all tatted up. All their arms, all 4 of them. So 8 arms in front of me, all tatted up. Worshiping and loving God, loving the Lord, dancing for God, and just praying to God, loving the Lord, taking their intimate time with God. And right then and there, God showed me why he told me to look in front of me. When I saw all the 8 arms in front of me and these gangster guys who were once gangsters and now serving God, I said, they're not gangsters anymore. They're Godsters. And right then and there, God showed me, and I said, I'm going to come up with a clothing line that says, I used to be a gangster for the world. Now I'm a Godster for Jesus. And that's what God does, man. God gives you new businesses that glorify him. And if you're in integrity with God and you're real about God, God will bless your company and he will allow you to make the money because he knows that you're real with him, that you're not taking the money to a strip club or spending it on drugs or things that are not of him that you shouldn't be spending it on. He'll bless your company because he knows that you're a man in integrity or a woman in integrity with God because you're using it for the right things. It's really your choice at the end of the day if you want a God party or a devil party. And even in the devil party, there's money, because I remember when I used to go out with the homies, hey, dog, pitch in for the beer. Hey, pitch in for the hotel. Pitch in for the gas in the car. So do you keep the devil party going or the Godster party going? Godster party is, let's continue paying for this church so we have a place where people can come and hear the word of God. Godsters came alive at the time that I was 100% in integrity with God and when God was showing me things left and right. And that's why I know God is so real, because at the time I was in integrity with God 100%, not claiming perfect, never saying I'm a perfect man, but at the time I was in integrity with God 100%, God has showed me not only so many different dreams, visions, and ideas, but he showed me ways out of different things that I never thought I could get out of. And so these are all the reasons why I love God so much, because I've seen God truly bless my life and work in my life as my father/creator, who has always directed me the right way, not the wrong way. So, yeah.
That's Godsters with a Z. Godsters.com.
Godsters with a Z.
You guys need to go check that out and pick up some Godsters gear.
Yeah. So
hit us with your last words.
my last words would always be spend your intimate time with God. The way you would with your wife, the way you would with your best friend, the way you would with your brother, because only you know the people you know personally by spending that personal time with them. And then long story short, after you spend that intimate time with God, God will redirect your path, he'll renew your mind, renew your heart. And not to kick a dead horse, and I don't want to be a Bible thumper, I'm going to leave it there and just tell you guys.
Be you, man.
Yeah, and I'm just going to tell you, I'm always, and I'm just going to tell you guys, with that, I would just say God first and the rest will work itself out. Keep up with me on my Instagram, actor Noel G. That's what's up. Watch my movie Psychopath, available on pretty much everything but Netflix. And check out my other movie, Ditch Party. You'd be helping me get closer to my dream by supporting those 2 movies and watching them. And just know that we can all do it in life. We just got to be risk takers, challenge ourselves. And remember, the stupidest question is the one that you do not ask. If you do not know something, ask. And know who you can trust. Lot more, but long story short, my last words, and I'm done, is God first, and the rest will work itself out.
Noel G, everyone. Thanks for coming through. Appreciate you, man.
Oh, man, it's all love.
I want to thank Noel G for coming on the show. If you guys want to catch up to him, that's actor Noel G on Instagram. Otherwise, you can find him on Noel G just about everywhere else. If you like what you heard today, if you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe to the show. Please leave a review and a rating. If you have any questions or comments or have any guests you want to throw on in the show, hit me up at HardParkingPodcast at gmail.com. You can follow me on Instagram at NA2NSX, or you can check out my daily travels at J_travels, JHAE_travels. By the way, I'm not traveling anywhere because the times don't really allow for it. We have a Teespring page, Hard Parking Store. All that link will be linked in the description. We also have a Patreon we can use your support. That's patreon.com/HardParkingPodcast. Other ways to support the show, there's a link in the description as well. Need to thank my sponsors, Right Honda out of Scottsdale, Arizona, Higher Quality Detail, Kuya Automotive, NSX Channel, Booster Bath, and 4Wheel Online. One more episode, guys. One more episode before the end of the year. Until then, if for some crazy reason you don't catch the episode, I'll catch you on the flip side. 2021 is right around the corner. I can't grow unless you tell everybody how awesome the show is. So let's do this. Let's grow this thing together. Are you tired of blowing out your back at the bathtub while washing your dog, or subjecting your canine to a water torture bath while leashed up to a post outside? Now there's a far more effective way to wash your pet while saving your back and keeping your dog happy. It's called Booster Bath, a portable bathtub on legs. Head over to boosterbath.com, one word, and pick one up. Available in 3 sizes, this tub system features a drain, a soap cubby, and water controlling wand. This tub conveniently breaks down to be stored when not in use. Want to save 10% on your first time purchase? Head over and sign up today to make that happen. Boosterbath.com. As a lot of you guys know, my daily driver is a 2007 Infiniti FX35 Sport. It's about time I put some money into it. Can't just drive the NSX around all the time looking nice. Want to get some wheels? For over a decade, 4Wheel Online has been bringing the best truck accessories and truck parts to enhance the appearance and performance of all trucks and SUVs. They're dedicated to providing an extensive range of upgrades that will match any maker model on the road. Their truck products cover everything you need for a custom look and added functionality. I was talking about a wheel and tire package. Head over and use a configuration tool. They carry all the major brands of wheels and tires, so go get outfitted today. Visit them at 4Wheel Online. That's 4Wheel, singular, online. Are you tired of your dog losing its cool in a thunderstorm or fireworks? You might want to look at Tongue Treats. TongueTreats.com. High anxiety relief, pain relief, inflammation relief. It's a direct connection between the tongue and the brain. Doesn't waste time going down to the stomach, where it gets broken down, enters the bloodstream, then to the brain eventually. By then, little Izzy, my dog, has been hiding under the house for like 20 minutes. The Tongue Treat CBD strips provide rapid results for your pet with the right amount of CBD, which is not psychoactive. It's important to test and verify your pet is getting the proper dosage. A single strip should be enough. Have doubts? There's certified analysis from a lab available on the website. Think about it. Efficacy and economy. Tongue Treats.
Shut up!